What's up, y'all? You're kicking with the Junkyard Dog on junkyarddogs.com. My name is Tony, for those of you who don't know. So check it out, man. This is the first real time I've been able to get back to work on Project Mayhem. The car is at Fab Lab right now, being worked on by the ever so great Jelante Thomas, taking care of the tubular front end, the front splitter, the roll cage on the inside, and we're doing a diffuser on the back, okay? So he's taking care of all that stuff right now. After we finish with the Fab Lab, we're gonna take it over to the vinyl wrap shop and have them set it up for us real quick and then bring it back here to the doghouse so we can drop the motor in. What's going on with the M90 intake? Like I said, I had to buy some equipment, as you guys see right over here. I picked up a mill so that I can mill, make my own parts and whatnot. I was having an issue with the base of the supercharger. Even though I work in a machine shop at my job, it's kind of sketchy, you know, bringing home stuff to work, and you never know, you know, some of the other employees, they want to complain on you. You know how that goes sometimes. I'm working on the rear end for Project Mayhem. The rear end that we got here, I showed you guys a couple episodes back when I did the cover. So right now I'm just hitting it with the wire brush, getting it back down to the metal. Then we're gonna use some pretty interesting product I want you guys to check out. All right, so what I'm gonna be using is this really interesting paint from a company called KBS Coatings. Very, very interesting stuff. I used this on my Cougar after I had it sandblasted, and this stuff is tough. It really actually likes rust. It prefers if the part is rusty. I cleaned off the rear end to the bare metal, but this can is, it's fairly pricey, but you get what you pay for. This stuff is good. Once you open it, it's so damn good that if you open it and don't seal it back properly, you'll never be able to get the lid off again, literally. So yeah, this ain't no joke. So we're gonna use this rust seal here to hit the rear end, get it nice and good looking, and then we're gonna go ahead and install all the components. So the new components would be axles. I took out the axles. I have some brackets for the dual caliper setup, and then stick on the calipers. So I kind of would like to paint the calipers and everything, but I'm not gonna do them right now. What I'm gonna end up doing is just kind of getting it in the car and then painting them a little later. Kind of under a little duress as far as like it being at someone else's shop, and then once the work on it is done, it's gotta go. Kind of want to just get the rear end in there so I can get the tires that I want on the back of the car, get it to get going on that. So yeah, man, let's rock. Let's see what we can do with this real quick. So right now we're gonna use some of this spray 9 real quick. Go ahead and clean this up. Any loose grease you might still have on here. You know, the good thing about that KBS coating is if there's still a little bit of if it flash rust from this spray, it's actually a good thing, not a bad thing. It's kind of counter, it's like opposite, it's weird. We're doing a few mods to this while we're in here doing all this. I was thinking about doing some C-clip eliminators, but I gotta leave something for later. We'll do it all right now. I'll get bored later on. But I'm gonna be honest, that stuff is no joke. I got some on, when I was doing my Cougar, I got some of this on my hand, some of that paint on my hand. And I swear to you, man, it took about maybe almost 2 weeks to get it off. People thought I was like a goth rocker or something. With black on my nails and stuff. Alright. Look at that, all that grinding I did still coming up black, you see what I'm saying? So, she'll let you know. I think it's clean. The only way to get it 100%, like 100% clean, would be to sandblast. But you don't want to sandblast this. It's just not a good idea because it gets sand all in the inside. It'll grind up the clutches and really wear out the gear faster than it should. So boom, there it is. So one of the main mods I'm going to do on this rear end, I'm going to change to a interceptor, I guess you'd say flange. Is this interceptor flange here is bigger, which on one hand could cause some issues with inertia, but at the same time, the aluminum drive shaft that we're going to use from the interceptor mounts up to these. Now we could change the ends of the drive shaft, but the problem is with that is that it actually costs more. So it's a lot easier to remove this nut. So use this to take the bolt. So what it is like that. And just go opposite to each other. That was easier than it should have been. So we got the puller on there. yank this sucker off. And there, so easy with the right tools, right? Boom. There it is, it's off. Okay, so seal looked good, it wasn't leaking or anything, but you can see the difference between the two. Boom. Go ahead and tighten this back on. So there you have it. That's the first mod we're doing. We're using the Police Interceptor flange. That's mod number 1 from this stock Mustang flange. All right. Police Interceptor flange in. This is just good for aluminum drive shaft because the other one is kind of small, and which means you have to use a thinner style drive shaft, which can cause some problems with the amount of power we're putting out. So yeah, I got a drive shaft from a 2002 Police Interceptor. It's aluminum, it's nice and thick, ready for the duty. I'm about to put it to. About to spray it with the rust seal. So I went ahead and just cleaned off all the paint that I could, all the grease that I could. And we're gonna go on ahead and, as you can see here, got that rust seal, got the old Harbor Freight spray gun. And we're gonna use some of the thinner too, which really, I mean, I'm sure you could use paint thinner for it and it would have the same effect. But yeah, that's what we're gonna use. All right. So what you see here is some scoopers. There's a reason for those, and it's because if you pour this out like normal paint, like where it gets all on the edge and everything, and then put the cap back on, believe you me, you're not gonna be able to get it back off. It's gonna be pretty much sealed on there. So this stuff is no joke. All right, so let's go ahead and mix it up, mix up the ratio, and then throw it in there and start spraying. I'm gonna hook up the fan so I don't kill myself and get my mask too. Let's go. Alright, so there it is. What I like about this stuff, man, is it just levels out so nice. You know, and it goes on really, really thick. So you gotta spray it with a little bit of higher pressure than you would regular paint to get it out the gun. But it levels out so nice. And when I tell you that it's damn near impossible to get this stuff off unless you grind it off. Wow. Now there's a couple little fish eyes from rust, from like right there. See right there? Got a couple fish eyes there. From some grease or something, maybe that's right there. So I'll just go over it a little later with some acetone, get that grease up, and then spray it again. All right, so earlier you seen me going ahead and change the pinion flange right here. Well, I've already changed the bearings and the seals. Now, these are custom made brackets that I actually got from a buddy. Really good idea. This is for a dual caliper setup. So what we're gonna do now is actually install these plates. They gotta go on before the axles do. So the pointed part of it faces down. And we're most likely gonna be going into this rear end again in the future. But right now, I just kind of want to get the car on the ground and moving and driving around. And then we'll just, you know, what's the fun in doing all the upgrades up front, man? I like to, you know, drive it for a while, enjoy it, tear it down, do an upgrade, and then like really feel the upgrade. You know what I mean? Like if you do all the upgrades up front, it does save time. But like I said, where's the fun in it? You know, like at some point you're like, well, damn, I probably would have liked to see what it drove like before I did the upgrade, you know what I'm saying? So basically what this does is it holds two calipers like this and the rotors right here, and it's like clamp, 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 you know? So we have one for the e-brake, so it's clamping like that, and then one for the regular brake. The reason why that's good is because if you're using the same brake for the e-brake and for the regular brake, you put yourself in a lot of danger if you're driving a drift car that you also plan to drive home. This just extends the long amount of time you be in competition. I love this little thing, man. Milwaukee, get at me, man. Frontin', somebody tag Milwaukee, man. So we're gonna go to the other side, and then we're gonna reinstall the axles, and then I got some special stuff from the sponsors at Permatex, you know, seal the main part of the case. So we're gonna go ahead and replace the axles. There's one, and there's the other one over here. All right, so we're back in the game. Put the axles in. We got to put on that aluminum diff cover that we got from the junkyard and modified from the 2001 to 2004 Ford Explorer or Mercury Mountaineer. So I'm going to use a special product to glue it up. I'm not going to use a gasket, and there's a lot of reasons why I don't like to use a gasket. For one, when you put a lot of power through these, they tend to want to twist, and that gasket, the paper one doesn't flex. And what the problem with that is it'll start leaking on you, and once it starts leaking, it's a wrap. You got a leaking diff, okay? So why a lot of times when you see an 8.8, you look under an old 5.0, that mug's leaking, man, you know? All right, so what we're gonna use for the differential cover instead of a gasket, we're gonna use some of this Permatex gear oil gasket maker. Now, this is a specific gasket maker for RTV. I don't know if you guys know this. Traditional silicone gets ate up by friction modifier, and synthetic oils, it just eats the silicone. This has some special additives to it so that the friction modifier cannot eat it. So this is not something that you'll see very often. I'm just trying to let you guys know about this because it'll save you a world of trouble, man. Let's crack it open and get to using it. All right, so in this diff cover that we got from the junkyard, this is the one from the 2001 to 2004 Explorer. What I like about this is because this is aluminum, it's what they call a dissimilar metal, meaning that this has a different heat expansion rate than the cast iron that we have here. So what Ford decided to do is they put this groove here for you to add extra silicone for when the cover wants to expand, or not the cover, but the case wants to expand a little more than this does. And then when it cools down, this cools down faster than the case does. So there's this groove in here. You just want to make sure that it's clean. You're going to add silicone to that groove, and then you put them together and lock it down. So once you get all the bolts in, we're gonna torque it down to 25 foot-pounds. You're gonna go to cross pattern. So this bolt, that bolt, that bolt, that bolt, you know, same. It's almost the same in anything that you want flat. Okay. Diff cover's on and ready for duty. All right. So now we're going to put the calipers back on and the rotors, which will be kind of fun. I've been wanting to do this and see everything together since I started this rear end. All right, so here's the axle. It's got some spacer washers on here, which I'm not particularly fond of, but they'll do for now. For whatever reason, I guess it didn't line up. So the bracket needs some tweaking, in my opinion, if you still have to use spacers to get this to sit right. I actually think this bracket was made for stock rotors for the rear end for the 94 to 2004 rear ends. That's what I think that this bracket was made for. This is a special type of rotor. It's a little different than the traditional setup. So they're actually bigger and they got a lot more going on. You want to have something that gives you a little bit more of an advantage as far as that goes. So there you have it. It's a dual caliper setup. So when it's in the car, it will look something like that. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the other side and yeah, call it a day on this rear end. Wait for the silicone to dry, put the fluid in there with the friction modifier, and put it in Mayhem. All right, so there you have it. It is the 8.8 rear with Junkyard mods, with the dual caliper setup. You know what I'm saying? We in there like swimwear. So yeah, man, this is going to Project Mayhem. Wait for that silicone to dry, put some fluid in there with some friction modifier, and we in the game. 410 gears. I don't know, might end up selling it, putting the welded diff one in there instead. Since everybody's saying you need a welded diff, I'd rather get me a spool or something. Don't know why nobody uses that instead. Junkyard Doggin